Hey everyone, um, welcome to everyone. Uh, hey Breanne, I actually just got your message. I just started now. So we are going to start our second episode of Because We're Strong, and it's going to be with Breanne. She's from Canada, and she has a baby boy that has, sorry, my dog's walking around. Hey Jane, that has Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. As soon as I see Breanne pop on here, I'll be able to add her. Hey Crystal. So everybody that's hopping on, feel free to share this. You can share it right on your, let me see if I can do it. You can share it right on your page. Ooh, my dog just moved the whole thing. So I'm just waiting for, waiting to see Breanne's name pop up. Breanne, if you're on here, just say hi, and then I'll be able to click on you to split you on the screen. I did get your message. I just saw that it popped up. So this is our second segment. I'm super excited. We have segments all the way until the end of August. So people are really, you know, starting to get excited about this. They really want to share their stories. They want to hear other people's stories, which is really awesome. And so we are super excited, you know, to do it weekly. There you are. I see you. Let me see if I can tap on you and add you there. Okay, add. Hopefully she'll pop up on the other half. The last couple times we've done this, it hasn't been so smooth, so we'll see. So far, it's a little bit better. So it just takes a little bit to add her on the side. Hey, Brian. So she's going to come on. She's going to introduce herself. She's going to tell, let me know if you see that the guest declined. Breanne, did you get it? It said you declined. Let me try again. Add you again. So once she accepts the request, you'll be able to see her and I split screen, and she'll do her story. Hey!
It worked!
Yay! This is so much smoother than it was the first couple times I did it.
It's funny because it was like 7:03 and I was so nervous because I'm like, I don't know how to get on.
I know. I feel bad. There's like no easy way for me. People just have to like wait until they see my face appear on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
How are you?
Worked. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on and being willing to tell everyone your story.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad to be here.
So just, I guess, tell people a little bit about yourself and kind of how your story began, I guess. We'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I had what I thought was like a normal, healthy pregnancy. But then when I was about 25 weeks pregnant, I started developing polyhydramnios, or as some people know it as just excessive amniotic fluid. Mm-hmm. And it had gotten to the point where I was measuring term at 25 weeks. Like I was really, really big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just put me right into premature labor.
Oh my gosh.
So it was really scary because I'm a labor and delivery nurse.
Oh man.
So kind of watching what was happening, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that I'm going into labor.
Oh,
and at 26 weeks, yeah, well, I was 25 weeks at the time.
Right.
So, you know, the first thing that came to my mind was, you know, like, is he going to have extreme brain damage? And,
right.
You know, he's going to have cerebral palsy. It was really, really scary couple days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after about 2 days of being in labor, we thought that we'd kind of slowed it down. It just kind of kept going, and I had my son at exactly 26 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So he was quite sick. We had a really, really difficult journey in the NICU. We were there for 125 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He was probably one of the sickest babies on the unit, which, you know, was really hard as a parent. And as a nurse myself, just kind of seeing what was happening, I had no idea that, you know, someone could be so sick, but still, you know, have so much support. And, you know, he, a couple things that had happened to him kind of throughout his journey is, so he was intubated. He had a machine breathing for him for several months. It took him a long time to get rid of the breathing tube.
Yeah.
He also developed lots of different infections. His lungs would collapse all the time, and he developed something called necrotizing enterocolitis, and it's an
Boy.
infection of his intestines.
Oh.
So he got really sick from that and ended up, having to be get his nutrition from like an IV, and he had that for quite a while. So it was a really, really long process of kind of getting him out of that. And then he even ended up needing heart surgery.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, yeah, he had a lot of things happen to him, but he was getting sicker and sicker, and we were realizing that there's lots of stuff going on there, and we really need to investigate it further. And they did, and we realized that his heart needs to have surgery to get those problems fixed. And he got really, really sick before the surgery, so he didn't handle the surgery that great.
Oh.
A couple days after the surgery, he got really, really sick and almost died. It was a pretty scary, crazy, crazy
Oh.
experience for us, but he got better. They did some pretty crazy things I didn't even know that they could do, but he got better. And within a couple months, once he was about 4 months old, he was finally discharged from the NICU. And but around that time, he started kind of showing some signs of Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome.
Okay.
So we had no idea that he had this until he was a few months old.
Wow.
And we just started noticing kind of the typical signs, but they weren't really severe.
Mm-hmm.
So he had macroglossia, and an umbilical hernia. He also had like ear pits and enlarged kidneys. He also had a period of hypoglycemia, so low blood sugars. So at the time, one of the neonatologist that was working there, she had mentioned Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. So I looked it up, and there really isn't a whole lot of resources on it.
Yeah.
But I was like, he kind of fits in every single thing, but just kind of on the lower spectrum.
Right.
But I still, in my mind, was like, I don't know, I don't think that's what it is. But the more we looked at it, we had a geneticist come to the NICU and take a look at him, and she had clinically diagnosed him.
Right.
So she said, yeah, I definitely think he has it, but we'll do some genetic testing. And because we were in the NICU, we were able to get things kind of going pretty quickly rather than being at home.
Right.
So the geneticist was able to send off the blood work right away, and we got the results pretty quickly. It only took a couple weeks.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah. And yeah, turns out he had it.
What a little
In
fighter.
his
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's been quite a crazy journey. So not just like the whole Beckwith-Wiedemann side of it, but just prematurity as well.
Right. Now, did
So
they say what they think, how much of his issues in the beginning were related to BWS versus just being premature, or do they think it was kind of a combo?
I think it probably is a combo. I know that there's a lot of stuff that we haven't really learned about Beckwith-Wiedemann because it hasn't been all that well researched. But I know that, things with, like, he had a lot of issues with kind of his gut and slow gut. Like when he came home, he had a lot of issues with constipation, that kind of thing. And I know that that's a common Beckwith-Wiedemann thing.
My son struggled
so
with
I think that there's, yeah. And also another thing is he has, well, he did initially, but not anymore. He had a milk and soy intolerance.
Oh, okay.
So I had to cut cow's milk and everything out of my diet so that he could breastfeed.
Right.
And I have kind of seen that there's some kids with Beckwith-Wiedemann that kind of have that too. So it's really hard to know what's due to Beckwith-Wiedemann, what's just random, what's from prematurity.
Right.
There's lots of different things. But
well, how old is he now?
He is 2 now.
Oh, so is he doing good as far as everything he dealt with in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean,
like
His heart is good. After he had his heart surgery, that kind of had fixed it. We have seen a cardiologist and stuff just to follow up on a few things. Like he's had episodes with like blue lips,
Okay. A lot
that
of
kind of
people have
thing, which
said
I've
that.
seen. Yeah, which I've
Yeah.
seen kind of seems to be a Beckwith Wiedemann thing too. But they're not overly concerned. There's a couple things they found, but nothing too big. So we're just going to follow up with that in a couple
That's
of
good.
years.
Good.
But what was the original question? Oh, how's he in general?
Yeah, in general,
Yeah, so
how's he
his
doing
heart,
now?
yeah, so his heart's fine. Um, his lungs were pretty bad for the first little while.
Yeah.
He was on oxygen for about a year after he came home from the hospital.
Okay.
So that was pretty tough. I mean, we had to take an oxygen tank with us everywhere that we went, and
Oh.
but I think, we had a pretty positive attitude about everything, and um, he like now he's off of oxygen. We did use I don't know if anyone else has used this, but I kind of wanted to mention it too, but we use something called an owlet.
Yes.
Yes. And I know that it's not a recommended, like a government recommended thing and all of that,
Right.
but for us it was a true savior a few times because
Mhm.
he was on oxygen and he did have these big drops. So this little monitor you just stick on baby's foot, and it had alarmed at us a few times.
Yeah.
And it only alarms if baby's oxygen goes below 80%. So it has to be pretty low for the alarm to go off. And I
Right.
know that there are some false alarms, but in his case, there was a couple times where he had caught that he was really quite low.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking him to the ER and that kind of thing. And
So
I
scary.
mean, in the long run, everything turned out really great. But I'm really glad that we had that resource.
Yeah.
Um,
We used that
yeah.
for our son, and it alarmed because he actually had tongue surgery at 7 weeks old because his sleep apnea was so bad with
Mhm.
his tongue. His tongue was so big, and so in the meantime, I put that on him because I was like, I can't. I'm not sleeping. I don't know. I don't know if he's breathing, and it alarmed a few times to where like I would look at him and he looked like he was peacefully sleeping, but like for
Yeah.
me to wake him up, I like really had to wake him up.
And that's a
So
scary sounding alarm too, isn't it?
yes,
Like,
it's like
oh my
okay,
God.
I will never sleep through that.
No,
Oh my
no.
god,
Yeah. I feel like I still have PTSD over the sound of that alarm.
I know any kind of little beep, you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Well, that,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad he's
Yeah.
doing better. Is he? Did they say anything about his tongue? Has he kind of grown into it? Because I know some people have asked about
Yeah.
that. Like my son's the opposite. He had it reduced at 7 weeks, and it looked great, and then it has grown. So he may need it
Mhm.
reduced further. Um,
Mm.
but some people that are, if it's a little bit more mild, people are saying that they grow into it a little bit.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of worried about that because my son, he has kind of grown into it. It is
Okay.
still large for his mouth, but no, he's definitely like he doesn't stick out all the time.
Hmm.
It did quite a bit when he was younger, but it doesn't anymore.
Okay.
But I feel like it's still a concern, right? Because it's still big, but not big enough to have a reduction. It's hard
Right.
to know, if there's going to be those jaw issues down the
Right.
road and kind of thing. We have done a couple sleep studies.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to be causing an obstruction for him.
That's good.
So that's good. Yeah.
So is he, I'm so curious, and I ask everybody this because I feel like the main, like, even though all the BWS babies are so different, I feel like the one thing that they all have is that they're all so feisty and like just little fighters. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I
Like
need to
that.
ask every single person this question when they come on here because I have a 4-year-old and I'm like, I don't remember him being this feisty at all.
That's funny. Yeah, no, my little man he has a very quirky personality,
Yeah.
I think, and he's just like he knows what he wants,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, he's very feisty. So
So
I don't know,
funny.
maybe it's a entertainment thing.
I swear that's a BWS thing, and that they smile all the time. I mean,
He's a
they're
very, very
they're always smiling. They're always happy.
yeah, yeah,
That's crazy. It's cool to hear. I mean, it's awful that that's how your story began with him, but it's very cool to hear that type of thing because before I started this, I remember feeling like always feeling stressed out, and I still am about Owen. But I think people that are around me don't really see why, because our story wasn't as, I carried him to term. He was
Mhm.
huge when he was born. He was 12 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was like, but he had to go to the NICU for low sugars, and he looked ridiculous. He looked so
Yeah.
funny in the NICU. But I think people look at him and they're like, well, what's the problem? He's fine. But this is why I like to do this kind of stuff, because your story, he wasn't fine in the beginning for a really long time. And I think
Mhm.
people see our kids now and they're resilient and they do so well, but it's like they all didn't start out that way.
No, no. And I think a huge thing too is advocating for your babies and not just taking one doctor's opinion for something. Like I can even tell throughout all of, everything that's posted on the Beckwith Wiedemann page. And I
Yeah.
think that it's really important for us to do our own research. And because, even with my son being in the NICU, there was so many things that I had caught on to that I had to talk to doctors about, um, that they would finally follow up on. Like even, pediatricians and all of that, like they all kind of have a general knowledge of Beckwith Wiedemann, but
Right.
I think it's so important for us to tell them what we see too, because I think that the Beckwith Wiedemann Facebook page is an insanely amazing resource,
Yeah.
because there is so many people talking about their situations, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like, oh my God, yes, oh my God, yes, that's me too, that's me too. Okay, so maybe this is related to Beckwith Wiedemann syndrome.
Right.
So,
And they just don't
you know,
know it yet.
yeah.
That's kind of how I feel with that kind of stuff, because for a while, and on the first segment that we did with Angelia, I was talking with her about respiratory issues, and I
Mhm.
swear everyone that I talk to, they're like, yeah, my baby has respiratory issues. They're constantly getting, you know,
Mhm.
sick in the hospital all over the place. But then when I talk to the pediatrician about it, they're like, it's not really related. I'm like, well, it has to be related if all these kids are having all these issues.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like the blue lips, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like it seems like there's a lot of babies that are having that issue, and
Right.
it's kind of random, and you don't see that all that often. So
Right.
yeah,
Does he have hemihypertrophy at all, or no?
he does.
Okay.
So the left side of his leg, like it's not a huge difference. He does wear a little bit of a lift in his shoe, just like a little thing that
Hmm.
fits in.
Okay.
Um, So it's hard to know really how bad it's going to get, or if it's, just going to stay what it is or
Right.
improve. But he does definitely have a little bit of a leg length difference.
Okay.
Um, but for the most part, my son physically looks, he doesn't really have a lot of like the kind of
Hmm.
typical Beckwith-Wiedemann characteristics.
Right.
Um,
So people would
yeah,
just
so
look at him like he's a normal child.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he's also, I'm not sure what exactly the type of variation that his gene is. I don't have it written in front of me, but it's the one that makes him the most at risk for cancer.
Okay.
So that's that's kind of the scary part of it, right? Like so
Hmm.
physically he doesn't show as much signs, but he's more at risk for cancer.
Right. So he's
So,
at the I forget what that one's called, but my son is the one right below it. So he's the second
mhm.
highest. I think his is the UPD type, and then
Okay.
whichever one your son has is right above that. But I can't remember.
Okay.
But that is it's scary, because people don't know by looking at him what you're going through as a mom. Like it's so
Hmm.
hard, and it's very difficult for me. Like my family's so great, and it's great to have a support system, but you know I feel like I have more of a support system doing this kind of stuff and hearing other people's story, because like you people get it, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scans and all of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Hmm. Yeah.
How does
Yeah,
he?
yeah. Like blood work every 6 weeks and ultrasounds, and like with my little man, he he does have a couple tumors that we have found on his kidneys.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but at this point they're benign.
Okay.
So we just follow them closely. He's had a couple MRIs, which in
Mhm.
itself was a little bit of a kind of a hard
Yeah.
process, right? Because they have to put them to sleep and
Yeah.
kind of go through that whole thing. But yeah, so luckily, everything looks good so far. We just have to make sure that we are staying on top of it, and like his AFP levels, they are still, I think the last one, I think they were at like 10.
Okay.
So, and they started off, I think they were at like 30,000, something
Right.
like that. So it was really high. So you know, he's slowly making his way down, and I'm
Oh,
really, really hoping that we're not going to have to fight that battle on top of all the other battles that we've had to go through.
I know. He needs a break.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, even with the blood work and everything, I think my little man he's so used to it now at this point that it doesn't actually like he does really well with them.
Does it?
He sticks out his arm and he's like, okay, poke
Oh.
me. And like his ultrasounds, he just lays there stoic, doesn't cry.
Oh.
So I mean, he does really well with that.
I'm
So it
looking
makes it a
forward
little
to
bit
that,
easier.
like being like a possible future for me because, oh my gosh, Owen hates them. He
It's hard, you know?
freaks. I have to like, I feel like I'm restraining him. I mean, he was eating the ultrasound gel the one time because he was so hungry. It was like on her hand. He's
Yeah.
trying to eat it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But he's
Well,
only
and
14 months, so hopefully,
yeah, yeah, so you have a little bit of time.
yeah.
But I was gonna say with the ultrasounds and stuff, I know that a lot of people are talking about how you know, they're made to fast and everything
Hmm.
before. That's actually one recommendation that my pediatrician has kind of ex-made and
Really?
says that we
Okay.
don't have to do that.
That's nice.
And even the ultrasound people, they will call just to be like, oh, just reminding you that he needs to fast. But my pediatrician's like, you know what, it doesn't matter because that's not what we're looking at.
Okay.
So
Maybe
luckily
I'll
we don't
ask him
have to
that.
fast, which makes a huge
Oh my
difference.
gosh, yes. It makes it.
Yeah, I can't imagine having to do that with a baby.
It's crazy. I mean, they have me. It's hard because the bigger he gets, the longer they want me to fast him for, and I'm like, okay, well, he's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger very quickly. So I think at this point he's close to like 5 or 6 hours, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how your son is, but I feel like we have to lock our fridge. The other day I caught him opening the fridge, and he's 14 months. He opened the fridge and was climbing in it to get yogurts. So, so I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
that I can, you know, because you're not the first person that I've heard say that their
Mhm.
child doesn't have to fast. So I may bring that up to mine and just be like, does he really need to fast because he's not having it.
Yeah. I know everyone's probably going to have a different opinion on that, right? So it's hard to say, but it's hard when you have little ones to try and expect that, right?
Yeah, and you
6 hours
can't
without
reason
dinner.
with them. Like he's not at the age that I can reason with him and be like, you know,
Hmm.
you need this done, whatever. He's just like, I want my food. Why are you holding me down? Type of thing. So
Exactly.
he's
Yeah.
so feisty. I'm just scrolling through these to see. People are
Oh, if there's
saying,
anyone.
I haven't seen many Canadians in the group. Oh, there's a ton of people on here. Hi everyone. We weren't ignoring you. Let's see if anyone has any. Will either of you be at the BWS conference this summer in Philadelphia? I will be speaking. It's going to be amazing. Hoping this year we focus on BWS Beyond the Childhood. Samantha, I will be there.
I would like to be there. I think it all just kind of depends on when is it?
It's July, I think it's July 19th to the 21st maybe.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
can
might be
send
able
you,
to.
yeah, I can send you, I have the flyer and I have, and anybody else on here, if you want the CHOP information, I have the flyer and I have the sign up, like where you can register to be part of it. So that would be awesome. That would be,
Yeah.
I hope a lot of people that, you know, come and share their stories come to stuff like that. Or if they're in the, like come in the area for follow-up appointments would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Here from the hospital, Penelope is admitted. Oh, Alicia.
Mhm.
That's why you need to join the BWS registry. Oh, Samantha was saying, is your son in the BWS registry, Bree?
I'm not sure actually. I don't think he is.
Um,
Is that like through CHOP?
that's through CHOP. Yeah, you can have your son put in there, and I don't know exactly how it works if you're someone that is seen, you know, not at CHOP, but I don't know
Hmm.
if that requires your doctor to like send records or whatever to
Oh,
them.
okay.
But I know the whole point of it is to basically collect as much data as they can to try and
Hmm.
categorize, you know, things that are similar, things that aren't similar, so that they can kind of get a handle on what is BWS and what isn't. I think that's
For sure.
their huge goal.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Hi, everyone. I have BWS and am now 27. Hi, Quentin. That's awesome. Contact Dr. Kalish and her team. Oh, now we have 37-year-old with. This is so cool. Yes, the
That's awesome.
registration Samantha said the registration portal. Oh, it's international, she said. That's cool.
Oh, perfect.
That's awesome. You have another son, right?
I do. Yeah, I have a 3-year-old as well. So he was 17 months old
Oh my
at the
gosh.
time that my other son was born.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it was a little bit crazy, right? Because, trying to be at the hospital all the time and
Right.
also wanting to be at home with my 17-month-old and
Yeah.
um, just kind of the way that the timing worked out. Because in Canada we have mat leave for 12 months, which
Oh
is
my
really
gosh.
nice.
Are you serious? Oh, I'm
Hmm.
so jealous.
Yeah. But because I had just came off of mat leave, I needed to get like a required 600 hours before you have to have a certain amount of hours work before so you can actually apply for it.
Gotcha.
Um, and because he was born early, I didn't get all my hours in.
Oh,
So I was pretty upset because I wouldn't be able to get any mat leave.
right.
So then what I ended up doing is I actually went back to work, got 200 hours done as quickly as I could while my son was in the NICU.
That makes
And
sense.
luckily, I had tons of support. Like his dad was there, my mom was there, I had
Oh,
sisters. So any day that I worked, my family would be with my son the whole time. So it gave me somewhat of a peace of mind. But
yeah.
so trying to work and delivering babies at that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so hard.
Yeah. And having a 17-month-old at home and a baby in the NICU,
Yeah.
trying to just get by day, pumping while I'm at work, trying to get as much milk as I can for my little man. And
Yeah.
it was a pretty crazy, awful process. But I ended up getting my hours. And then
Good for you.
once my
That's
son was
awesome.
discharged from the NICU, then I had a year with both of my boys. So
That's amazing.
the good thing about the Canadian
Oh my gosh.
um,
I want to move over
yeah,
there.
and our healthcare too is also
Yeah.
really great. Like, we don't have to pay for very much, especially with the tests and that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
nothing ever comes out of our pocket, which is really nice.
Right. How do
Yeah.
you, I feel like I struggle a lot with, because my son's 4 and Owen is 14 months. And I feel bad
Mhm.
because I feel like Owen gets so much attention without, like, extra attention without me doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
That I feel I struggle with that, like trying to figure out the balance between giving them equal attention, because I just feel like the nature of what he has going on, he's always going to get a little bit more,
Yeah.
no
I
matter
mean,
how
it's
hard I
hard.
try.
Like when you're constantly going to appointments and, he's
Right.
always kind of the center of attention there. But I feel like for me, I just really like, because I put Xander, my Beckwith and Biederman son, down earlier for bed, and I make sure I spend like at least an hour one-on-one time with my little man before he goes to bed. And
Yeah.
I just try to make sure that when I am with them, that I'm
With them.
really just trying to, yeah, yeah, and
Good.
giving my 3-year-old still his one-on-one time too.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the beginning, like the first year was really hard, especially because my youngest was on oxygen and there
Yeah.
was a lot more going on then.
Right. You had
A
so much
lot
more
of
to
health issues.
manage.
Yeah, but I think now that Xander's now 2 and Grayson's 3, I think it's a little bit easier now that they're a bit older.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, have you explained to your older son um, that, his brother has this, or have you not crossed that bridge yet?
You know what? I haven't had that conversation with him yet. I mean, we do kind of tell him that, your brother needs to see the doctor and has to get his blood work and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think he'd quite understand the concept of it yet. And I
Right.
think, like with a leg length difference or that kind of thing, for him, it's all quite small at this point in time. So I
Right.
think kind of down the road, if it causes more issues, we'll have a bigger discussion. But I feel like right now, I don't really want to make it a huge deal because he really isn't all that different. Yeah, he has to,
Yeah.
have some blood work every once in a while and ultrasounds, that kind of thing. But I don't even really want to draw a lot of attention to it just because I feel like it isn't necessarily a huge disadvantage. It's just a little bit of
Right.
extra screening
Right.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh, there's a lot of wind coming in my window. I
Okay.
have gone through like deciding how I want to cross that bridge with my 2, because Owen, our biggest thing with Owen right now is the hemihypertrophy is like really affecting his leg and his foot. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't, like, nothing. I've been doing so much research, been trying to find like people that specially make shoes, because I'm like, all of our BWS kids that have this problem need shoes too. Like, this poor kid doesn't have a pair of shoes that fit him. And I
Yeah.
think my 4-year-old is starting to notice that, because Owen's legs evened out for a while, but then he just hit another growth spurt, and now they're like drastically different.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, so I think he's starting to notice, but I haven't really like had that full-blown conversation. But I think I'm not necessarily nervous to have a conversation with him. I'm more nervous for other kids to pick out Owen's differences and like see how Michael handles it, my older one. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how I'm gonna do with that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because you don't know what it's going to be like for them, if there's going to be any issues with bullying, that kind of thing down the road. But
Right.
just gotta hope for the best, and
Yeah, one
yeah,
step at a
just
time, I guess.
yeah, and just try to let them know that, it's not a major disadvantage. It's, it makes them special, it makes them different.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, I truly do think that Owen is the way he is because he not only has to be, but because he just has so much strength. I'm like, this has to be part of it. Just like
Mhm.
his resiliency is insane. I just and other stories that
Yeah.
I've talked to with people, their kids, like even your son coming through all of that is crazy. And I mean, I've seen the pictures of him. He's adorable. He looks
Yeah, thank
great.
you.
He looks
Yeah,
like he's a trooper.
yeah, it's crazy to think that, being born that early,
Hmm.
that, like even his vision, his hearing, his brain development, because he's followed up by a neonatal health clinic.
Okay.
Because he was born so early, he has extra resources, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So he has like speech and language pathologist, he has eye doctors, lots of hearing stuff. So there's lots and lots of follow up with him, and we have lots of resources at our fingertips. So it's
That's
really,
awesome.
really nice to have that. But he's been doing really well. He's meeting all of his milestones.
Oh,
He's
good.
not behind in anything, and so it's pretty exciting. And you
Yeah,
know, so proud of him. And like you said, like all of these babies are so resilient. It's kind of mind blowing.
it is, especially
Yeah.
because, just when you're not expecting it, and then they just come out, and then you kind of just have to deal with it. I almost feel like Owen deals with it better than I do. And
Yeah.
he's the one that's going through it. I feel like he's going to be like 6 or 7 and telling me to like get my stuff together.
Calm down, mom. I'm fine.
Yeah. Stop worrying about me. I'm fine.
I think that's a huge thing. I think that as a parent, we stress more about things than they ever would, right?
Yeah.
It's hard not to, but I think it's so important for us as parents just to like try to normalize everything, and
Yeah.
not make a huge deal of, you know, all of these things. Just kind of make it like, you know,
Yeah.
just a regular part of life. And
Right. I've been
I
trying to
don't
do
know.
that with like even just the way that I just handle when Owen does things. I try and just act like, okay, how would I do it if it was Michael? Because I don't want to treat him any differently.
Hmm.
The only thing I will say, and I don't know if you ever dealt with this, but I struggle with him being perceived as older. That's difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's very hard. My parents were over today, and my dad was like, "Wow, it's really hard to look at him and think that he's one." And I was like, I know, and it's so hard because sometimes my
Mhm.
husband like will not expect more of him, but almost think that he should, or like he knows what he's doing type of thing. And I'm like, Mike, he's only one. Like I kind of have to like remind him, like even though he's huge, he's only one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I mean, I can see that with a lot of parents on the Beckwith Wiedemann page, that's kind of a big struggle for them, is like their 4-year-olds will be bigger than the 6 and 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my son, although he was born actually really big for his age,
Right.
um, he's kind of gone back and forth with his weight, but right now he's pretty much at like the 50th percentile. So he's relatively normal on that scale.
Okay.
So for us, that's not a huge battle that we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I can definitely see that it's a huge battle that a lot of Beckwith Weidman parents are having to go through.
Yeah, I feel like he even looks ridiculous when I'm holding him. Like he just looks ridiculous because, and I can see people looking at me in public like, why in the world is she holding that that 4-year-old? But at the same time, I'm like, he deserves to be held. He's only one. He's a baby. Um,
Yeah,
so part of me like jokes. I'm like, I'm gonna have to carry his birth certificate around with me.
yeah,
Poor thing.
yeah. You're like, I swear he's not dumb. He's just, you know,
Yeah, he hasn't been
just
held back
really
5 times. I swear.
big. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's see if
Yeah,
I
you can
can.
see a lot of people are saying it's an issue for them too.
It's so interesting just to see just how it's not necessarily an issue for him, and that he kind of fits in with his size fits in with his age group, because um, that's another thing that, like, if there are people on here that don't really know much about it, that I think is so crazy, is that a lot of people do think, you have to have a big tongue, you have to be big, but you really don't. I mean, you
Mhm.
said your son and he looks completely like a normal child based on the pictures that
Yeah.
I've seen of him. So it's kind of crazy, and it almost makes you wonder, if you didn't have him the way you did and he was born like normal and didn't have that whole experience, would you guys have ever have caught it, type of thing? Do you think you would
Yeah.
have?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I'm actually really, really grateful for that one doctor that had mentioned it,
Yeah.
because if she hadn't caught it, you know, the type that he has, being so at risk for cancer,
Yeah.
like, you know, he could have developed cancer and we would have had no idea, and it could have gotten so much worse. And,
Right.
you know, like I've seen a lot of stories about people who find out their kids have Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome long after they're born, and they're already so sick and have all these
Yeah.
issues, and they had no idea why. And
Yeah.
so I'm really, really grateful that we found out, because yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't have even known, because he does look physically quite normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's it's
yeah.
it's
But
crazy.
I think yeah, I think as like just myself and my personality and being a nurse, I am the kind of person that I'm always doing research, and I'm always, you know,
Right.
looking at things. So I feel like I probably would have caught on to it at some point, just because there are a few kind of like the leg length
Yeah.
difference, that kind of thing, right? Like
There's
that's not
things
a
that you, as a mom and a professional in healthcare and stuff like that, you would have picked up probably.
yeah,
But you probably,
yeah.
I imagine, would have had to push it, I would think.
Oh, for sure. And I think a lot of parents probably have to do that, is they really have to advocate for their little ones, because a lot of doctors, I think, are like, oh no, you know, it's just a small thing here and there. But like those, even just like minor things
Yeah.
can, like you can see there's a lot of people that post on the Facebook page, you know, my child has this and this and this, but no one wants to believe me. And all I can say to those people is just keep trying to get opinions, because you know, your instinct is probably right.
Yeah, and I mean, your son's a perfect example of that. I mean, it's crazy how everything does happen for a reason. Like his situation was really hard for you, and your family, but who knows? I mean, that probably like saved him from, who knows, down the line. Hopefully he doesn't have to go through anything, but even the fact that you said you guys are following benign tumors, I mean, that's crazy. You guys are
Hmm.
so lucky that that happened the way it did.
Yeah, yeah. I think despite everything that he's gone through, I'm so grateful that you know, he's at the point where he's at now, and he's done so well. And you
Yeah.
know, I think a lot of that just has to do with just like just giving him so much love and positivity, and just making sure that he knows that everybody's there for him, and he's just kind of beat every battle.
Yeah.
Like even
Awesome.
with eating and stuff, we had a lot of issues with eating. Like he had an aversion to food for a long time, and I
Uh-huh.
think it was like his gag reflex, his tongue
Okay.
being large, that kind of thing. Like we couldn't get him to eat any
Oh,
purees at all, or any solid food, until he was about a year old.
wow.
um so it was a little bit of a battle there, but the good thing is he was breastfeeding, and so that kind of gave me peace of mind that, you know, he got what he
Yeah,
needed. But
right.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Oh, let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody's stuff on here.
Yeah.
Them looking older was a huge. Oh, Samantha said them looking older was a huge issue for all my BWS babies. I've had arguments with strangers about it. Oh, Christopher's on here. Christopher is someone that's going to be doing one of these on June 10th, I think, and he is an adult with BWS, and he said, yeah, I can definitely relate to not looking your age issue. This was a huge hurdle in school for me. Oh. Also, oh my gosh. He said he was 6 foot by 6th grade. Christopher, did you play basketball? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Robin
I
said,
feel like back with Wiedemann syndrome for a girl might even be a little bit more difficult, right? Because, you know,
right.
being kind of a tall male, as they kind of get into adulthood is
Right.
relatively normal, but it's probably a little bit harder for the girls.
I said that to my husband because we only have boys, and I always joke like, "Oh, I'm just a boy mom. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it."
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't want a girl, but I am very thankful that Owen, with the issues that he does have, that he is a boy, because I can imagine that it may be harder as a teenage girl than it would be for, you know, a boy, especially with, like, I look at his legs and I'm like, okay, well, he's not going to want to wear skinny jeans or, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and there's actually, I think I'm not sure how old she is, but there's a teenager that's a part of Larger Than BWS, and she was deciding with her parents if she was going to come on and share her story, and I totally understand because she's young why they would be hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
but even if she was able to write something, it would be cool to hear how it is for her.
Really?
Yeah, it'd be cool just because, you know, I do think that. I think, oh man, I wonder how it is for teenage girls that have it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're just as resilient as, you know, as all the
Oh, I'm sure
BWS
they're
babies.
all so resilient. It's pretty amazing.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah. And
diagnosed her.
I love that we have this huge community on this Facebook page too.
Yes.
Like I have learned more from that than I
Mm-hmm.
have through reading through research and
Yeah,
trying to find things. Like it's pretty incredible, this
it really
community
is.
that we have. And yeah.
And I've really just learned from doing this and just talking. Like, you never really think that strangers are going to be as receptive as they are, and for the most part, people have been super receptive, like when I reach out to them or just want, you know, invite them to do this, or so that's been pretty cool because I feel like that's also not really the norm, and I don't know
Mhm.
if that comes with just like the type of parents that BWS parents are, or what, but it's been great just for me to just learn from people, and people be so willing to just, oh yeah, like let's do it together, let's figure it out, and let's share experiences. That's been really cool for me.
Yeah. Do you know any people like in your area too, personally, that have kids with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome?
No, I think my sister-in-law said that a friend of hers daughter has it, but I haven't I'll have to ask her. I haven't. Oh no, I lost her. Where'd she go? We lost Bree for a second. Hold on. Let me see if I can re-add her. We lost her. Let me scroll through people. It's tough. Oh, Bree, you're the perfect person to ask that question to. A former teenage girl with BWS, it was really hard with body image and confidence. Well, Bree, that's why you are the most amazing person that you are right now. I'm going to add Bree back because you've been through it and you are really changing people's lives. Hey! I'm like, oh, I think she closed herself off.
Yeah, by accident.
So there's not many people in my area. I know there may be someone. My sister-in-law was saying that she thinks her like friend's granddaughter has it. So I have
Mhm.
to ask her about that. But I did find there's a map. I have to share it on the page. There's a map apparently that I think it's called Disease Map. I don't know if you've ever looked at it.
I
Um,
think I saw that a very long time ago when I first had seen it, and I didn't really see anyone in my area. But I have actually heard of two people in my
really?
area. Yeah, one girl I've kind of been in contact a little bit with, but
Oh, that's cool.
I think it'd be really nice to, meet people in your area and actually be able
Yeah.
to talk about it. But I mean, even this itself, just being able to chat with people online is pretty amazing.
And I think it's cool. Like, I just think of Owen as like with him getting older. I think it would be so cool for him to have another kid that can relate to him,
Hmm.
especially with probably feeling. I'm sure that they'll have feelings at some point where they feel a little bit different or a little bit of an outsider, or they have to do things differently sometimes than other kids. So for them to have someone that they can relate to, I think would be huge.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that there's a couple people in your area, because that's been the thing. I feel like we're all so spread out.
Totally. Yeah. And I always wonder too, like how many people may have children with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome and don't even know it too, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself like looking at other and my
I do
husband's like,
that.
"You need to stop doing that." I'm like, "Well, I'm
I'm like,
just wondering."
wonder. Yeah. I do the
I'm like,
same
"Because
thing.
they should know if they have it." He's like, "You're
Totally.
crazy."
Yeah.
Chris said, outside of being a part of a medical study for BWS, I've never met another person or family with BWS.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw, I think that it was when you got kicked off. Bree is on here and she's 31. She is BWS. She said as a former teenager, it was really hard on body image and confidence. But she
Mhm.
has like all the confidence in the world now. She's like helping
Oh,
people left and right.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Let's see.
Yeah. All the battles that, we don't know what we're going to face yet, and there's probably lots of different things down the road, but
Yeah.
just try to keep positive and truck on.
I think that's another part that's hard for me. Is just never knowing. Like never knowing what's going to present itself, never knowing what's going to be on the scan. I have a hard
Mhm.
time with that, and I don't know if that will get easier with time. Um, Maybe, I don't know. Did it get a little bit easier for you? I know our kids aren't that far apart, but
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like anytime that I ever go into a scan or blood work or anything like that, I definitely don't overthink it. I
that's
even if
good.
like there'll be times where we'll be doing a scan and I'm watching as they're doing it and I think I see something and I'm like, nope, turn that off. Don't even think about it because
Yeah,
there's
'cause
nothing that I can do about it for now until I hear the results. And if the results are negative, then we'll just fight that battle. But
right.
I think that my personality, I just kind of go into everything just like it's fine until we have to deal with it.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I stress too much about the scans and all of that. I mean, obviously it's hard to watch him have to go through, the
Yeah.
blood work and that kind of thing, but um yeah, I don't know. I think just trying to make light of everything that I can just because everything has been so difficult that
Yeah.
these little hurdles seem small compared to what they could be,
Yeah, and
you know.
what he's accomplished already.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
makes sense. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
Well, I would love it if you were able to come to Philly. I see everybody talking about Philly on here. Bree's coming to Philly. Samantha is going to be Philly, and Christopher. Yeah, Christopher, you should come to Philly too. Bree said, "Good for
Oh,
you, Breanne. Such a BWS treat to persevere and be so positive."
well, thanks. Hopefully, I can instill that in my son too. And
Oh, I'm sure you are.
yeah,
He probably sees it already.
yeah. Well, I don't think he has a single clue that he even has anything going on with him. He's
Probably
just a
not. I feel
regular
like boys are
teenager.
pretty like, "Meh." Like,
Yeah.
they're just like sometimes like Owen will walk somewhere and he's not even looking. He'll be like walking and looking this way. I'm like, can you pay attention to what you're doing? Like I just feel like boys, their head is all over the place all the time. So he
Totally.
probably has no idea.
Yeah, no, he's just living his life, just
Yeah,
eating and playing and sleeping and
he's just
cuddling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I
Yeah,
feel
thank you
like
so much for
I
having me.
learn something new every time. that, and this has only been the second time that we've done it. And I've learned something new each time. So I'm thankful that you were, willing to come on. And I think seeing you come on and everybody that comes on, people that are a little bit nervous to come on, I think will hopefully feel a little less nervous and may want to come on and share their story. So,
yeah, well,
I'm
thank
that
you
did.
so much for doing
Yes,
this.
no problem.
We're really helping to raise awareness, and because I think that it definitely, nope, and whenever I ask anybody about it, nobody has no idea. So, I think it's really great that you're doing this and getting it out there, and
yeah.
Yeah.
And let me know. I'll send you the stuff for Philly if you want me to. I'll send it to you, and you can.
For sure, I would love that.
Yeah, if you can figure it out, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm hoping that me and the kids and my husband are going to be there. I'm not sure about the kids because if my husband can manage them, the whole time maybe, but I'm going to be on lifting restrictions which is a problem because I have to get back surgery for the second time.
Oh, yeah.
So
I saw something about that.
yeah, so I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to manage them at a conference all day if I can't even lift them up.
Yeah.
So, but I'll be there. Hopefully my husband will be there at some point with the kids, and we can all connect and have kids meet, and it would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yay! Well, thank you so much again,
Thank you so much for
I
having me.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for hopping on. Oh, BWS Moms Rock. And if any of you watch and haven't signed up to share your story, and you feel like it's something you want to do, we want to have you on here. We really want to hear your story. I've learned something new. This is the second time I've done it, and Bree's story and Angelia's story are two totally different stories, and my story is different. So everyone's story is different, and I'm really just thankful for the people that are willing to come on. And if you're feeling like you want to but you're a little nervous, just continue to watch, and when you do feel ready, fill out the form. It's pinned on the Facebook page, or just reach out to me. I usually get a notification when people fill it out, so I can reach out to you and give you a date. There are a couple weeks where we have 2 people. I know a couple weeks in June there are 2 people, like 2 days during the week. And if I start to see that the demand is there, that more and more people want to come and share, I'm happy to do this more than once a week. Girl, 2 back surgery survivor here, stupid Hemi. Oh, yeah, Samantha, that's my fear for Owen, is that his back and spine are going to get messed up with his Hemi. So I'm trying to, he has an orthopedic appointment coming up in July, because I'm trying to, not have that happen. But again, thank you everyone so much. The Philly conference is coming up in July. I would love for everyone to be there. If you need information, reach out to me. I'll send you the flyer. I'll send you the sign-up form. And, as always, thank you so much. None of this would be possible without you guys. Our Facebook page is 2 months old. Facebook and Instagram is 2 months old. Larger Than BWS is 2 months old today. And we're picking up some steam, and I'm excited. Facebook has over 1,000 followers on it, which is awesome. I feel like half of the followers know BWS, half don't, and I think that's great. So if you guys would share this video on your Facebook pages, please share it so people can watch and see our family's experiences. Can you send me the info for it when you get a free second? Chris, absolutely. I'll send it to you as soon as I get off of this. I'll send it your way. I'll message you through Facebook. So I just am really thankful, and none of this would be happening without any of you guys, because it's not just my story that needs to be shared, it's everyone. So thank you. Have a good night. Think about it if you're still like pushing to share your story, and we'll go from there. But perfect. Good. And I will keep in touch with you guys over the next few days, and yeah, hopefully see a bunch of you in Philly. Have a good night.